Welcome to the Hotel News Now podcast network. I'm Robert McCune, managing editor of Hotel News Now, and I'm happy to introduce the latest episode of the Next Gen in Lodging podcast, in which host Omari Head talks with Daymain Smith, CEO and co-founder of third-party hotel management firm Synergy Hospitality. The pair discuss the unique post-pandemic challenges facing hotel operators, including the loss of talent and how the industry can begin to rebuild that. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to this and other H&N podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
Greetings, and for your next installment of Next Gen, we have a very special guest here. And before we get into the guest, this is Omari Head. I'm the founder of the National Institute of Lodging Education, and I am pleased to be 1/3 of Next Gen in Lodging, along with Davon Reeves and Christopher Henry. And what we'd like to do is bring you diverse guests with fresh lenses on a myriad of different topics. And today we're joined by a veteran hotelier, somebody who is a true student of the hospitality industry, who is truly a hotelier through and through, who believes at their core in service in many different forms, and what we'll touch on, as well as what we touch on when you're servicing people, both your internal and your external guests. What does that look like? What are you looking for, and what challenges are you seeing? But before we get into that, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Synergy Hospitality and one of its founders, Daymain Smith.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
It's a pleasure. You're definitely somebody I wanted to interview for a while, somebody whose career I've loved to see the growth. I'd love to see not just you be winning, but also you thriving, right? We see a lot of businesses out here and they're surviving, but to see you in the thriving season has definitely been an awesome thing to witness. So tell us what Synergy is, who Synergy is, and what are your kind of core foundations?
So thank you so much, Omari. Again, my name is Daymain Smith. I am the founder, one of the founders and chief executive officer of Synergy Hospitality Group. Synergy Hospitality Group was founded in 2015 as Smith Hospitality Consulting. We started off as a consulting company. We are a true to form third-party management company that offers full service third-party management offerings to all possible brands that are available to us in the spectrum in the continental United States, as well as we offer a nuance, which is called a la carte. I have not coined it yet, but copyright pending. So,
Coming soon.
Coming soon. But Synergy Hospitality Group as an entity is, yes, it's a third-party management company, but it's so much more. It's been my passion project since I was 17 years old. And I started my hospitality journey at 16 when I was a dishwasher at the Clarion Hotel back in my hometown of Mobile, Alabama. Fast forward to now, we've amassed so much knowledge and information, but also so many great relationships along the way. We are a family-oriented company. In addition to family-oriented, we have combined as individuals that work with our group and the team and the founders and all of our partners. We have over 125 years. That's crazy. 125 awesome. Combined years of hospitality experience that we make readily available to our clients, our guests, and our partners in the hospitality and hotel space.
I love that. So with all of that knowledge, all of that intellectual capital that you all have in-house, what does it look like right now? We've been here. So previously, and everybody knows I'm a hospitality nerd. So if you go back, it was the war for talent. And now it's a different type of war for talent. And you hear a lot of people saying, and I'm using air quotes, it's hard to hire people. And another air quote, people don't want to work. What has been your experience in not just attracting, but retaining talent, A, and then B, where are you going to find this talent?
I'll start by saying and date myself a little bit and say I'm a 70s baby. So I'm old enough to remember Atari and beta machines, but I'm young enough to still have been a part of the technology boom and transition from a cell phone, from a bag to a flip phone to a handheld to a computer in your hand to what we have now with all the modern technology. So yes, to be very frank and very blunt about it, the industry has been presented post-pandemic with quite a few obstacles as it comes down to human capital and talent acquisition. But some of the old ways, some of those analog ways is what my kids say about me. Some of those analog ways are still work. You know, I have some really good examples as we get further into the discussion, but definitely we have at Synergy, we have experienced the talent lag. During the pandemic, we had a lot of our senior leaders in this industry across the board that left and chose alternative careers. And now there is a huge gap. Also, the baby boomers left a colossal gap in our industry. And so, because they stayed in their roles for so long and they had kids so late, so they couldn't get out. So now we're looking at a world that it's like anything else. It's almost like retail, fast food, quick service restaurants like McDonald's, Burger King, not to name drop, but you know, it's like those restaurants.
Yeah, they're not paying us ad money yet.
No, they're not paying us ad money. So pay my brother. But no, seriously. So kind of in that quick service restaurant model where turnover is high because the wages were so low. Now you have a wage that has risen up to better than fair market level. So it's raised fair market level up, fair market rates up. It's not that $7.25 or even a $3.25 or, you know, $3.25 an hour that I grew up with.
You did just date yourself.
I did. You know, at least it wasn't 50 cents in a bag of hay, some grain or something. But no, seriously. So these kids are able to make $15, $16, $17, $18, and up in the Northeastern markets and New England markets, $19 an hour starting pay, and for unskilled labor. So we're in a place where we have to get creative, and we can talk about some of those things here in a second, but we do experience it from every level, from the general manager level to the, you know, to the regional level, to the executive housekeeper, all the way down to your entry level bellman positions and dishwashers. Everything, the price of tea in China, if we can still say that today, has gone up.
And you know what's interesting as you say that, and this is where I'm going to press you and some other industry professionals, as we say, is it that it's unskilled labor, or is it that we don't pay the skilled labor?
Ooh, so
you got to marinate on that
one. No. I got this one. I got
about it, and because that was one of the things. So again, like being a hotel nerd, right, going to hotel school and even teaching in hospitality, we always had a conversation about, you know, it's no longer vocational. We want to move away from that mindset of it being vocational, but at the same time, and I'm giving you my answer, although nobody asked, and I'm not supposed to do that as the host. But here I am doing me. So you know, I'm interested to kind of hear, you know, where do you see the industry, and how do you all look at that particular dilemma?
So the hardest job in the industry by far is, in my opinion, because I've done this job and I did it as a teen, is housekeeping. And for years, there was almost a $2.50 or $1.75 gap between a starting wage for a housekeeper and the starting wage for a front desk associate.
Right.
During the pandemic, we learned that desk agents are the worst housekeepers on the planet. And we also learned, item number 2 that we learned was that managers are even worse then worse. They are worser. If that's still a word, they're worser. The absolute worst.
Big trash, as the kids say.
like big trash, total dumpster fires when it comes down to cleaning rooms. So we had to learn we had to pivot and pay these people what they're worth. And at a lot of properties nowadays, starting housekeepers are getting paid more than desk agents. But here's what forced our hands. Contract labor.
Yeah.
Contract labor forced our hands because we found out that we would pay through a company that may or may not have documented employees, but we got them through a third party. So we don't ask, they don't tell. And what happened was they were giving us selling to the highest bidder. We were getting housekeepers. We were in one market, we were paying for $24 an hour for a housekeeper.
Wow.
In that same market, we were advertising $14 to $15, and we literally before the pandemic, that property was paying $10.25 an hour for housekeepers.
Wow.
We went up to $14.50, thought we were doing a great job, patted ourselves on the back. And here comes Debo with all of the snacks and showed up with all these ready, willing, and able bodies and saying, yo, the price is right, it's $24 a person, and we can get you 50 people because we know y'all selling out because you're in season in Florida, South Florida.
Right.
So what happens? You go for the easy win because you don't have time to train. And you're not getting enough applicants because these people are getting paid $18 an hour through a contract company, and they may or may not be documented. No shade.
Right.
So we did the math as Synergy, but also so many other people had to do the same math. And in doing the math, we realized that it was cheaper for us to pay a higher, because at this point, owners were not getting NOI.
Correct.
Labor was gobbling up NOI. So we had to go and flip the script and say, okay, at Synergy, we did a case study and said it makes more sense for us to pay these people $16 to $17 an hour seasonally during the peak season. And then, but how do we source properly documented citizens at this rate?
So let's get into, we're going to ask you to give away all the secret sauce. I'm sure you have consulting where you can help people with that.
I do.
So talk about what does it look like for you when you're looking for human capital, when you're looking to go out there and recruit people. Like you said, some of those analog ways work. Can you share a story about what that may have looked like and where you saw some success, and ultimately not only did it look good for you, but you're in the owner representation and you're in a part of asset protection, right? You're the first line of defense. So what was kind of the owner's reception and or perception of that?
So a quick story, me personally, I was in a market in central North Carolina, coastal North Carolina, and at a property that had a top 3 flag. We were on the verge of not being able to accommodate the volume of occupancy that we had. So we were running a limit. We had to limit our inventory. So I get to the property as a consultant, and I'm talking to the general manager. Long story short, this guy's like, I don't know what to do. Nobody's showing up for interviews. I'm at Indeed. I'm on Indeed and blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. So I say, let me borrow a laptop. So I borrow their laptop. I print out a couple of flyers. I press up about 200 flyers in English and in Spanish, talking about the new rates that we're offering and a sign-on bonus if they're able to refer anybody, which was like $500 after 90 days and $250 for the new hire. And so $500 for the person that referred them and $250 for the person after 90 days that was the actual person hired. I went to the grocery stores on the weekends and in the afternoons after 5 o'clock, and I stood in front of grocery stores, Piggly Wiggly's, Publix, you name it, Aldi's,
you name it,
and even some of the Latino places, and H Marts. And I passed out flyers and asking people for their information on the spot, giving them my personal cell phone number so that I can call them. If they needed transportation, I would go and pick people up. I rented a minivan instead of a regular car because I flew into that market. And instead of just renting like a Corolla or something, I rented a minivan. I would go pick people up if they didn't have transportation. Now we worked out a way with the metropolitan bus system to do a bus card for them so they can get the transportation. But we also, what got them was we were in their space. We were in a place recruiting, guerrilla marketing right there in front of where they shop. And these people needed to work. The pandemic had done so many people so wrong and the money was running out. So I think that was one of the ways and one of the tactics that we took to really land the talent that we needed. We hired over 24 housekeepers. We didn't need 24. The property was only 122 rooms. But you know what? We put all of them to work. We found ways to make them work: housekeeping, laundry, facilities, whatever you needed. And then you had a bench. You had bench strength now. You can call people in on the weekends if you got call-offs. You can call people in on a Monday or a Sunday if nobody else wanted to show up. And so that helped us a lot, and we got them at the rate that was reasonable and more than competitive for the market. And that property, just kind of to give the cherry on the top, that property normally in season was doing about $299 a night. That property, we were able to push that property up to $549 a night, and it sold out consecutively 7 days a week for 3.5 months.
Awesome. I mean, and what's worse than being able to not get your product out there, which is the rooms, right? So you got to have the talent in place. And the fact that you were able to do that, and there's so many other, and I always tell my students specifically that leaders move forward, managers maintain. So that displayed a great deal of leadership on your behalf to just say, hey, somebody handed you the keys and it was just like, hey, this is, not the best ride ever, but you really, you maximize it by getting at some low-hanging fruit. And also that challenges a lot of the commentary about, oh, these people don't want to work, these people don't want to work, and whether the these people part is colored by some other SES lenses that are less favorable, or they just mean folks holistically throughout the United States, or is it just that people don't want to work for that specific property because you haven't, to your point, kind of circling back here, you're still in analog numbers, right? So I always, when people start talking about, Fat Joe said it best: yesterday's price is not today's price, and it's all relative. And again, you have to also be in the market. I'm sure listeners will say, well, you're in a market where you can command that, but you have to figure out, I imagine, how to keep up with what's going on in your specific market. But just you being able to identify that there was talent available at the grocery store, and I'm sure previous managers have been posting on Indeed and I was about to say H Careers. And again, no shade. If y'all want to do some ads, though, I'll add us. But it's noting that that's a thing that is kind of the traditional route. A lot of it is because if you are a top tier hospitality leader, manager, you're coming in and you're usually not from that community. Yep. So you're deployed there and you're kind of like, I don't know. And I'm trying to wrap my arms around the building, and I get it. And you got your 12-hour, 18-hour shifts, and it's more than a little bit overwhelming. So you taking time to go to the local grocery store that may not be there, but synergy going the extra step is, I'm sure, what sets you all apart. So right now, what do you think has made, so it sounds like that's one of the things that has set you all apart. And would you say that owners have been pleased with that approach? It sounds a bit unorthodox for our industry. Was there a little bit of hesitation when you kind of first shared that information?
I think the owners appreciated the end result. and you kind of back into the to the yes, right? You know, most people don't want to know how you make the spaghetti. They just want to eat the spaghetti. And I think that that's one of the things that with our owners, partners, and alike, that we have to have that kind of trust. And you establish that in the beginning of the relationship, actually before the relationship even becomes a relationship, just in the basic communication and the care and concern that you take with their information. Because if we don't establish that you got to trust us a little bit, mentality and favor with our owners and our partners, then we will not be successful. That is a platform that Synergy operates on. It's every owner that we engage with is an owner that we select too. You know, we want to make good relationship. The name of the company speaks for itself, and it speaks to the heart of what we do, and that's synergy. We want synergistic relationships with all of our clients and our partners. I want to circle back on one point, and I'll share this with you really quick. As we look at the pandemic and hospitality and the fallout post-pandemic, one of the things that I'm writing in my book about the industry is that the industry, we let our people down. So we created this monster when we couldn't get creative and figure out ways to keep these people employed. So we're living off of a byproduct of our own actions. Because most hospitality, most hotels are not owned by hoteliers. The Marriotts don't own as many hotels as they used to. Hilton doesn't own as many hotels as they used to. So we really find ourselves in a unique conundrum when the workforce is looking at us as someone who let them down, and now we're like, no, but come back.
Yeah.
No, please come back.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, son.
Yeah.
They looking at us like the kid, like the kid with the juice box, like, nah, you can't have it. And winning them back is more than just lip service. It's culture. It's, you know what? It's the gift cards. It's showing up. It's corporate personnel showing up on properties.
It's just pizza parties.
No. I wish
Synergy is not just ordering up some pizza slices.
Look, today,
pat on the back.
Today I had an unannounced site visit at our property in Picayune, Mississippi, and I went and I did a whole barbecue spread for the entire team. The food got there before I did. When I got there, they were looking around like, who ordered this food? And I showed up and I was like, hey, y'all. And then, let's sit down. We're going to say a prayer and we're going to eat like a family. And that's what it's about. We have to win their trust back. The workforce didn't walk away from us. We walked away from them because our industry is controlled at times by bean counters. And we have to be, as management companies, we have to recover the image of our industry and make sure that those people do not feel disenfranchised, or they're not scared again that we're going to leave them.
Wow.
When it gets hot again.
That's as the kids will say, that's a word, but that is several words. And it's interesting. So a lot of people, I'm sure, listening to this may not have even been that hourly associate that was impacted. We saw it at the corporate level. I mean, we were reading the headlines. It was 1/3 of XYZ company at the corporate level. And I can't tell you how many people switched into other careers. And then when it opens back up, it's kind of like, I've moved on, right? Yeah. Life continued. That's one piece. Life continued. The second piece is that if you were on property, I mean, people figured out ways to make money without going to a hotel. So going back on property sounded less attractive unless you were really, 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 really about that life. And it's like, well, I can make a sustainable amount of money, and it could be maybe a little bit more working from home. And I don't have commute time. A lot of us discovered, having no commute time was high key a pay increase. Yeah. It was just like, wait, I don't get paid to commute to and from my job. Think
about the GMs that were working 55, 60 hours a week, and then all of a sudden they had all this free time. And now they can actually do something that they're truly passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, and then when somebody's trying, they probably took a 20. I mean, some people I know, I have friends, colleagues, like mentors of mine that took 20, 30, 40, $80,000 pay cuts.
Yeah.
And a package to get laid off and didn't go back. They start selling real estate. One guy opened up a Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
And he's 2.5 years in now. He makes almost 7 figures.
Yeah.
Off of a Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
I mean, and he controls his own destiny. He's dirty every day and he loves it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that sometimes the dedicated hoteliers, sometimes we feel like that's all we know how to do. But leadership is marketable, and it is a commodity, and it's something that can be that and we didn't think that during the pandemic, but it became one of the highest demand commodities on the market.
And as you talk about leadership, it seems like Synergies, and don't let me put words in your mouth, it seems like you all are in growth mode. As you look at adding on more talent at this stage, it sounds like, from what you're saying, from a principle standpoint, from foundational, from core values, that you all are going to be relatively selective. So what would you say probably is the top 1 or 2 things that you're looking for, just 2 qualities that you're looking for that are kind of like non-negotiables for you all with any role?
You know, the easy one that you can phone in is coachable but malleable. You know, I'm a life learner. As a CEO and a founder of a company, this isn't my first rodeo with owning a company, but I want people that are open to the process of learning, of the continuous learning experience. And the second part of that is we look for people that are not just hoteliers. We're looking for people that are passionate. You can't. One of the things about one of my favorite shows is my new addiction. I talk about it way too much. Is Ted Lasso, and you know, I remember the first season, and he had that I believe sign that he put on the top of the door. And in the beginning, nobody touched it. I want people that are true believers, like Stan Lee used to say at the end of every comic book, right? Or in the beginning of every comic book. You know, and believers in hospitality and the transformational power that we have as hoteliers. I think that is the thing that fuels me every day. It's not money. It's not fame. It's not, you know, podcast. It's not, you know, instant.
Unless it's this one.
Oh, yeah, unless it's this one. I mean, this one is easy. Top two. But no, seriously, man. Like we look for people that believe in the spirit of hospitality and service. You know, my spiritual life teaches me that the greatest among us will be a servant. And I try to find people that can go past their egos, even myself, go past my ego and go past their egos in order to work and operate in excellence.
Man, well said. And I think with that, we can say that we got a good snapshot of Synergy, of what you all have been throughout this exploration, and it's a continual growth, like you said, being a lifelong learner. And a piece of that is with the pandemic and this public health crisis that we went through, learning how to treat people. We spent a lot of time thinking about the external guests, but also the internal guests. And to your point, that was well said. And I don't think we've had a hotelier say that publicly, that, you know, we didn't do the best job in handling our people. And that's our most valuable asset, right? You know, at the core of it, the service profit chain. You know, you take care of the internal guests that can take care of the external guests that can ultimately bring you profits. And seeing that is tied into you all foundationally, and obviously that ties into your spirituality as well as your spirit to serve. So, hey, we appreciate you taking the time to share that with Next Gen Lodging, and just we are truly looking forward to your next stops for Synergy, which I'm sure is only up and up and up. So thank you so much for joining us. Any final words?
Final words is if you're not passionate about it, don't do it, guys. Don't halfway do anything. And if you don't have excellence in you, find someone, get close to someone that does, and watch them closely.
I love that. I love that. Get your weight up and change your circle.
Roger that.
All right. All right.
Big facts.
Big facts.
Big facts, as the kids say.
As the kids say. Indeed, my brother. I appreciate it. It's been awesome. And thank you all for tuning in. Again, the Next Gen and Lodging. It's been Daymain Smith with Synergy Hospitality and Omari Head, one of the founders of Next Gen and Lodging, as well as National Institute of Lodging and Education. Peace.
Hi, I'm Isaac Colazo, Vice President of Analytics at STR.
Hi, and I'm Jan Freitag, National Director for Hospitality Analytics for the CoStar Group. Tune in to our new show, Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast.
It's a podcast on the global hotel industry, its current trends, what we're thinking about, and where the industry's going.
And we like to have fun with the data too. Find us on hotelnewsnow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today.